I call the honourable member for Maroochydore.
Thank you, Mr Chairman, and I noted the very flippant interjections from the Deputy Premier about a serious issue which is about regulations. And the government has claimed that this process is about reducing red tape. And for the information of the Deputy Premier, who's so flippant about red tape and the impact upon our industries, one industry, the construction industry, has estimated that the model codes of practice, which range in size from about 20 to 120 pages, and the model regulations, which contain 582 pages of new prescriptive requirements, will be quite a significant impact for those operators who aren't multi-jurisdictional, who are just operating in Queensland. So it's a legitimate question to ask on behalf of our small businesses who are being asked to embrace a new world of red tape, courtesy of your government, who says they're trying to reduce red tape. It is a laudable aim to have safe workplaces, and we support having safe workplaces. However, we're very sceptical, and personally I'm extremely sceptical, of this government's ability to actually implement it in a way that is competent. They have a history of creating a big mess with anything they claim they're going to, where they're going to reduce costs. They typically increase costs. We support safe workplaces. It's the implementation of these laws that I question in regard to that red tape, and we've just heard from this minister they're still working through that, and yet it's supposed to be implemented on the 1st of January. I will table a list of some of the provisions, the list of some of the regulations that will have to be altered and the codes of practice, and they're quite significant, and it doesn't cover all of the industry-specific regulations. So when this government is being flippant about the impact of red tape, draw their attention back to the fact that industries such as the construction industry in my area and many parts of Queensland is gutted. People are struggling, businesses are closing, and the red tape is not helping. I want to also remind the minister and the flippant cabinet ministers who don't care about small business that their explanatory note actually said that for single jurisdictional employers who do not benefit from a reduction in cross-border red tape reduction, the cost imposed is likely to be low or neutral when compared to the normal costs associated with the regular process of legislative review and change. Gee, that's comforting. So in other words, they've got a big whopping lot of charges and red tape now, and you're still going to have an unknown amount of red tape under this government. The minister can't give us any assurance in regard to our existing operators. It is a legitimate question for us to say, what about Queensland businesses that are already struggling with red tape, and you say on the 1st of January there will be a new set of regulations, a new set of codes of practice that they have to adopt. You see, it may come as a bit of a surprise to all the Labor hacks who have been on government jobs all of their lives or worked in ministerial offices and never had a job or employed anybody, but there are people who are having businesses that are getting closed down.
Order,
and I want to also
right.
draw to their attention the fact of what is actually happening. ABS building approvals data for Queensland, which was released on the 5th of May, shows that for the state there was a 6.1% decline in total building approvals. In May 2011, with a 3% decline, the trend estimate for the number of private sector house approvals in Queensland in March 2011. I'm concerned about that, and it's a pity that the government is. On the Sunshine Coast, where I am, seeing jobs leaving the area, where we're seeing businesses close, and it's a story that's repeated in many other regional communities where they're struggling. We've seen a situation, we've seen the most worrying situation where the building industry in particular is struggling. And I want to just quote some of the figures from the Sunshine Coast situation, where the recent Australian Bureau of Statistics data, the Sunshine Coast growth rate just 2.3%, which is a significant reduction. But to quote the Urban Development Institute of Australia, Sunshine Coast President, we've lost 14,000 workers in 2 years, including 2,500 in the last quarter alone. So when I asked this, and I've tabled that list of just some of the many regulations that we're waiting to see what they look like, I remind the government that asking people to turn up at seminars asking them to take time out of their small businesses to go to yet another round of briefings on their legal implications for how they can comply with the law.
Order. The member's time has expired.
And that is important, and we haven't had an answer from the government or any care or concern.